Hey everybody, Katie Sutton here, intuitive channel and founder of Zen Within Academy and the New Earth Now School, coming to you with your November 2025 energy update. I'm excited to share the themes with you this month. Just a couple of days back from an amazing trip to Glastonbury in the UK, which is the heart chakra of the world. If you've been following me on Instagram, you know about this trip and all of the preparations that I did to be able to receive the medicine of this place. And I am deeply changed. I'm still in the process of integrating everything. I have to say that this is probably one of the most powerful places for me personally that I have ever visited. And the heart codes that came in are definitely going to be transmitted to you all in this month's healing circle. And I am working on getting a retreat page live so you all can join us in May of 2026 if you feel called to make that pilgrimage to the heart of Avalon. We can take 10 or 11 people only. If you want to be a part of that or are interested in learning more about that, you can put your information in a form below this video that I will link to. I also am working on ways to try to bring some of the energy of that place to all of you. I'm getting some distinct messages from Spirit that I need to create a specific container for that because it is a very powerful transmission. It's not something that I can just offer without kind of holding a container. So I'm working on a program to help you to travel there even if you can't travel there in the physical. So I will be releasing that at some point, hopefully in the very near future. And I'm excited that some of the knowledge and the information that I was able to download from this sacred site will actually be coming through in this month's healing circle as well. Lots of ways to receive a transmission from this amazing place in Glastonbury that I was able to visit. All right, so let's get into the November themes. So we do have a Mercury Retrograde coming up this month. So our first theme is called Slow Down to Speed Up. You all know about retrogrades. I talk about them a lot. The guides share a lot of information with you all about retrograde cycles. We need to, in a retrograde cycle, especially in Mercury retrograde, slow everything down. And it's really a chance to complete things, to finish up outstanding projects, to tidy some things up in our environment so that we have some energy that gets freed up for us to be able to move forward. The guides have shared with me that in this particular cycle in November, Mercury retrograde is about a 3-week period. We will be really asked to slow down to speed up. I'm living this. When I got back from my trip, I started getting all these downloads about things that they wanted me to do with the codes that I was able to receive and how to transmit those to all of you. And I got really excited, and then they told me to take a deep breath and that there was more than enough time for me to create intentionally this container, because it's really important how this container is created for you all to receive these codes and these bits of information from Avalon. And so they basically just reminded me to be measured in my excitement and to take the time that I needed to take to set up all of the structure and the logistics in order to be able to deliver what is really needed in this program. And that honors the sacredness of this land that I visited. So I've already gotten a teaching this month on this slowing down to speed up. What I'm noticing in the collective is that we have so many things pulling on our time and so many distractions that it is hard for us to kind of slow things down enough to actually be in stillness so that we can be in receivership of what's going on in our internal environment and be directed by truth from that internal environment. Oftentimes we're moving so quickly that we're bypassing our natural innate feminine knowing energy. I talk about the divine feminine a lot and how in order to really be tapped into that intuitive awareness within that feminine flow of energy inside all of us, that we have to take time in stillness, we have to take time to slow down, and we have to take time to listen. And that was a big teaching that I got in this pilgrimage to this sacred site. Everybody that visited there were so many different cultures that converged in this place and this Isle of Avalon as it existed. And they would take a long time period to be able to not only get there because they were traveling by boat, but also once they were on the islands, they would take a long time to be ready and prepare themselves to be able to take the pilgrimage to receive the energy. And that was a huge teaching for me in this trip. And I think all of you are going to be working through something in the month of November with this Mercury retrograde cycle where it's really going to slow you down. You're going to want to move faster than you have been or than you're able to, and this Mercury retrograde cycle is going to slow you down. I also think we're going to get some downloads around time. Typically when I see Mercury retrograde come up, we start doing some shadow work around our past lives and different timelines, and things start to converge as we slow down and we start to pay more attention. So really just notice this month where you're rushing through things and really ask yourself why. What is it that is driving you to rush forward into something? Is there an external pressure or an external expectation that you've either placed on yourself or you've taken on from your environment that is forcing you to move faster than you really need to in something? And take the time this month to really slow down. We are coming to the end of it now, but we're still in a 9-year and ending cycle. We really need to get all of the toothpaste out of the tube this year, okay? That means that we've got to pull all of the things up that need to be worked on and make sure that we have worked through as much as possible and cleared away as much as possible so that we can be ready as we move into January to hit the ground running in terms of this one new beginning year that we're going to be moving into. And I think slowing down and paying attention to the way that you're operating in your day-to-day, and are you taking time to just take a full deep breath when you're doing things? Are you slowing down and paying attention to what your body is saying? Are you slowing down and paying attention to what your nervous system and your emotions are saying? Are you paying attention to the signals that those around you are giving you? This is a month to really take note, pay attention, take all that information in, and slow everything down. Okay, so that's the first theme, slow down to speed up. Let's move to the second theme, which is giving from overflow, not depletion. This is a month where the guides are telling me that we're going to be asked to fill up our own cup first and allow that to overflow in excess. This is not a gluttonous theme. I know it sounds like that's not what I mean. What I mean is really taking the time this month to pay attention to what is nourishing and flourishing in your life. What is allowing you to feel nourished that then allows you to flourish in the things that you're trying to accomplish and the things that you're doing. And really paying attention to those places where you're not being held in that vibration of nourishment, and know if that is something that is a program that is playing out for you that you have carried on an ancestral level, or maybe from an inner child level, or maybe it's been passed down to you from society, that you're not allowed to be in nourishment while you're creating and while you're doing. I think this month we're going to see some places, maybe get a little bit of the veil lifted, where we are not taking the time to nourish ourselves, and our bodies and our beings might be talking to us a little bit. We might think that something is okay, and then we might get a real wake-up call this month that it's just not working for us anymore, and we really need to be open to changing it or letting it go. So as we give from overflow, not depletion, we also create more sacred reciprocity in our relationships. A lot of times when we're giving or we're trying to show up for others, it's a trauma-based response. We feel that if we don't show up for them, or if we don't keep giving in this kind of overly abundant way to others, that we're not going to be loved, that we're not going to be taken care of, that we're not going to be seen. And if we're not filling up this internal cup and giving from that overflow place, and instead giving from a place of depletion, we're not only harming ourselves, we're harming those around us as well, because we're really not giving from a place of deep truth. And so if you are somebody who is a chronic overgiver, I do think that this month is going to be a bit of a wake-up call for you, where you're going to get pushed in a different direction, where you really have to take care of yourself first. And another thing that I want to just mention is that we have had a lot of teachings this year on what it looks like to be in the driver's seat of our own experience. And we're really having to calibrate to understand that when we are disappointing others, or we feel like we're letting others down, that if we can sit in that place of uncomfortability, there can be massive, amazing transformation. We worked on that a little bit last month as well in our healing circle. So really pay attention this month to the outputs and the inputs, and just start to balance it out a little bit. We also are coming into the holidays, which I think is naturally a place where we tend to burn the candle at both ends and on the side, as I like to say, where we really have nothing left in our cup. And so notice notice what it would look like to plan your holidays and your celebrations in a way where not only are you getting to give in the way that you like, right? Maybe you like to do the cooking, or maybe you like to bring people together and host, but you're also receiving in that moment, and you're paying attention to that receiving. And this can be in the real time. This is just how you are being honest with people about where your edges are, where you're being pushed, or what you need. Really using your voice in real time to say, hey, if you did this for me, this big thing that I'm doing would feel so much easier. And it may be a very small ask. A lot of times I think the things that fill up our cups are not huge asks. Sometimes it's just being willing to be heard and be listened to. Somebody sitting and receiving what's going on with us emotionally and witnessing us is enough to fill up our cup. Sometimes it's, hey, I need to go take a 20-minute nap. You know what these things are for you that nourish you, and they're probably not huge asks. If you would just take the time in our first theme to slow down and listen, you're going to know what you need to be able to do all of the things that you want to do. I know we have a lot of things that we want to accomplish in this holiday season always, and we are not always the best at setting boundaries sometimes, but we can do all of the things and enjoy it at the same time. This is really a place for you all to pay attention. I keep seeing images of the Horn of Plenty and this frequency of Thanksgiving energy that we have in the States that I think is the undercurrent of what it really means, which is to be in gratitude and to reap the harvest that we've sown and to really be in the abundance of that. And abundance doesn't necessarily mean that we need more stuff or more things or we need to take more time. It may mean just sitting in presence in each moment and really being grateful for what you have. I think that's where we truly get into that frequency of deep abundance. Okay, so that's our second theme, giving from overflow, not depletion. The third theme is heart healings. So I know that I'm a little bit biased because I just traveled to the heart chakra of the world. But while I was there, I really got some very specific downloads about all of the energy that is coming at us that is trying to distract or disrupt the natural light of our heart and the natural light of our beings. I was standing in front of these two really ancient yew trees, Y-E-W, they're called yew trees, and they are the protectors. And I was standing behind them, and there are these two trees that are at the front of the chalice gardens that are protecting the chalice, which is this sacred place, the sacred that had honestly the strongest amount of light emitting from it that I have ever received anywhere that I've ever been. It was just this massive portal of light. Like, it was so palpable. It almost blew you back how much energy was coming out of this. And I'm standing behind these trees and I'm getting this download of how they're protecting this sacred, beautiful light emitter, which is this divine feminine emission of light and love. And they're basically like shielding this energy from all of the nefarious kind of dark stuff that is directed towards this place. Anytime you are an emitter of light, whatever that looks like in your life, it could just be helping people, it could be being a vessel of love and joy and laughter. Anytime you are an emitter of that light, there are energies that are going to get triggered by that, or things that would like to maybe take from that light. But what I saw these trees doing is just holding this protective boundary, and all they needed to do was protect this well from being able to be disrupted by any of this energy. They were like shielding it, and it just allowed this beautiful well to be this sacred place that was divinely held and divinely protected, and it was just emitting light constantly because that's all that it needed to do, because it was not needing to transmute anything else. And so these heart healings that I think we're going to get this month are places where we need to shore up the edges and the boundaries of our heart chakra and the divine intelligence of our heart chakra, where we are naturally in a way where we're not cutting off our light, protecting ourselves from things that are maybe distracting or maybe draining our life force. And I think that this is going to be a little bit subtle at first as it comes up this month. For me, what I'm feeling is this means that I'm going to be cutting out some things that I'm actually bringing into my own field and changing up my diet and changing up my lifestyle a little bit, because I'm draining my own light by not taking care of myself in the way that I really know that I need to. And so I've got to do some work in the edges of my heart chakra field to transmute and release some things that are stories that say that I'm not worthy of taking care of this light vessel that I am. And so I think all of you are going to be going through some changes in your heart chakra and your divine heart intelligence this month. And you're going to notice places where you're sabotaging yourself, or maybe where you are in dynamics with other things or other experiences that are just not honoring the light that you are. And you're going to be making some changes through these heart healings to shore up your boundaries and how you're taking care of and protecting yourself. And I don't always like to use that word protection, because I think we can go at this from a very defensive posture. But I do know that in order to keep our heart open and light and keep being the emitters of light and truth that we are, we have to take care of that. We have to honor that. We have to know what is out there and what is distracting and what is pulling on that light, and be very aware of it, not afraid of it, but be very aware of it and set some pretty strong and clear boundaries with that. And know that we're doing that from a place of love, not from a place of fear. So in these heart healings, we might be breaking down some walls where we're not allowing ourselves to even receive that support or protection. Maybe you have somebody in your life who's trying to help you honor your light by taking some things off your plate, and you're not even allowing them to do that. And so you are using too much of your own light to do things that are maybe not even in alignment with you. Maybe you have people in your life already trying to protect you in this way, and you're not receiving that protection energy. And just also understand that we have a lot of support and protection around us in the non-physical plane too. All we have to do is remember to call it in. If you're worried about something, or you're worried about maintaining your light in a situation, and you want to go out into community and build new relationships and get connected, but you're worried about that, call in the support so that you are able to maintain this frequency of truth in your heart chakra. Call in those non-physical beings that you believe in, the archangels, your guides, your helpers, maybe your well and healthy ancestors, and ask them for support in being able to hold your heart open while you walk through difficult things as well. I think it is possible for us to be in our love and our beauty and our truth and still be protected out in the world. I think the world wants us to harden up, and we are learning that actually really harms us when we put those walls up, and when we get into a place of defensive action or shutting our heart down. We really just create harm for us because we don't have flow when we do that. So this is a month where we're going to be receiving some new heart codes, some heart healings. Maybe there's somebody that you haven't seen in a while, a family member, and you're going to see them at a holiday celebration this month, and you're worried about it. Go into it believing that it's possible for you to stay in neutrality and be able to interact with those family members without losing your light. You don't have to change or harden or go into anger in order to stay in safety in some of these relationships. You can absolutely keep your heart open. Okay? So that's the third theme, heart healings. And that takes me into the fourth theme, which is going to be the overarching energy of our healing circle. We're going to cover all of these themes as we always do in our healing circle this month, but we're definitely going to really focus on this fourth theme. And our healing circle is November 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So this fourth theme is transmitter, not transmuter. So leading up to this energy update, this is probably the thing that has been coming up most in all of my sessions, my own personal meditation practice, in the messages that I'm getting from Spirit. Gone are the days where we really need to be transmuting and sitting in the dark and the distraction with others. It is time for us to really be willing to be the transmitters of frequency. We've been working up to this for years. It's clear to me that those of you that follow my energy updates are very sensitive awake, aware souls. You have a high degree of emotional intelligence. You are wanting to be better so that you can do better in the world. We have put in a lot of work in trying to transmute our own shadows, in trying to do our deep inner work, and we are really wanting to get out into the world and be seen in the truth of who we are. This is our time to really shine. And we are ready, even though the systems and structures around us don't really want us to be transmitting this light, we are ready to go out into the world and be seen in this truth. And there might still be a little bit of hesitation, there might still be a little bit of fear, but even those of you that I work with in session who are like, oh, I know I need to get out there, but I'm a little bit afraid, are feeling this kind of push energy. And we're going to keep getting that push because next year is a 1 year, lots of new beginnings, lots of new things coming online. We've got to work through the last bit in these last couple of months of 2025 of these fears of being a transmitter, of being a truth teller, of being able to be out there and being seen. So as we do that, we have to be willing to own the truth of who we are out in the world and transmit that as frequency and be willing to be seen in that so that we can create the change that we want to see. So you might be able to do this at a holiday celebration with your family. You might in the past have hidden and pulled back and not really owned who you are and what you believe in and the things that excite you. Maybe you'll get an opportunity this month to just be exactly who you are and share those things even with people that may not understand or appreciate it, and doing that without any expectation that it will be understood or appreciated. One of the things that I witnessed about this beautiful place that we visited is that there were all kinds of people that were called to this place. Some of them were really in deep appreciation of the sacred nature of this site, this place in Glastonbury. And others were just there with their family going on a hike. And it was okay. The energies of the place were ready to meet whoever showed up in whatever way they wanted to be met. And there wasn't any judgment about that. Mama Earth is so good in these sacred sites about just emitting the light that she is. And if you slow down and you pay attention, you get so many gifts from that and so many downloads. But you can also just walk upon it almost unconsciously, and you're still receiving things, but you're not bringing them deeply into your consciousness. And so that level of receivership is just lessened. And there's no judgment about that. As long as there's some level of honoring, even if it's just honoring things with our presence and our joy, we're able to receive. But when we really tune in deeply to the energies of places and slow down, we get to receive even more. And so for you as transmitters of this light, when you're doing all these things that I talked about in the previous themes about slowing down and giving to yourself, the level of light that you're able to emit expands exponentially. But there are not always going to be people who want to or are able to receive that light, but that doesn't need to change how you are showing up. You get to honor the truth of who you are, no matter how the person across from you calibrates to it. And this is important because we have for many generations, I think, as sensitive souls and empaths, and those of us maybe with gifts, have really been doing the work to transmute the energy around us in order to try to create that safety. And now we're realizing that is just too much work. We are depleted. We are burnt out in being the transmuters all the time. We need to just go out into the world and realize that we change people with our presence. And we don't have to work so hard to be that light in the world. We just get to show up in our joy. We get to show up in our exuberance, in the truth of who we are. And that allows us to be these transmitters of light. You might get some awarenesses in this particular theme this month of places where you're still being the transmuter. We don't get to be the transmitter of all of this light and love and frequency without realizing where we're also still maybe transmuting things for other people where we don't need to. Now, one other thing that I want to say is this does not negate us needing to do our inner works. This isn't one of those things where we're just all love and light all the time. Sometimes we're going to be a transmitter of sadness. Sometimes we're going to be a transmitter of fear, even though we don't want to. That's because we also need to just honor where we are. You transmitting your light and sharing that and being truthful about that out in the world doesn't mean that you negate any of the denser emotions that you might be experiencing. So we have to be willing to be vulnerable, to be seen in whatever the truth of where we are is, because that is also healing for people. When you show up in your vulnerability and you're maybe transmitting some sadness that day and you don't shy away from or feel guilty about that or try to pretend that you're okay when you're not, that's also a teachable moment for those around you to be able to see what it looks like to be a true and deeply feeling empath, which is so valuable. We need to share that with the world as well. So don't mistake this as being a place where you're just meant to be perfect and full of love and light all of the time. That is not full, whole truth. Be what you are in the moment and be a transmitter of that. Now, when we're transmitting, all we're doing is sending out a signal of, hey, this is who I am and this is where I am. This is who I am and this is where I am. That's all that we're doing in that moment. We're not sending out an expectation of, I need you to caretake this. I need you to fix this. We're holding the truth of who we are in a deep seat of power. And this is a very open and vibrant frequency. It is not something where we're broadcasting this feeling of, I am the victim and I need you to take care of me. This is a very empowered frequency. So as you're transmitting, even if it's something hard, own your strength in that as well. And sometimes owning our strength is saying, hey, this is where I'm at and this is where my limits are as well. Okay, so practice being the transmitter, not the transmuter this month. If you're noticing that you are taking on the density around you, do what you need to do. Go back to that second theme of giving from overflow, not depletion. Take care of yourself so that you can continue to show up in the way that is honoring of your truth at your heart level, at the core of your being. And it wouldn't hurt to slow down a little bit this month because that's one of our themes too. All right, so that's what we're going to be covering this month in Healing Circle, November 12th, next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're interested in joining us on that trip to Glastonbury next year, or maybe just want more information about the program that I'm creating where we're going to be doing kind of virtual work with that particular sacred site, I will put a form that I will link to below this video that you can fill out, and that'll just grab your name and email address, and I'll make sure to share it with you as soon as it's live. I'm taking my time to put the containers together exactly as they need to be so that we can get the most from this experience, and I can't wait to share it with all of you. All right, I hope everybody has an amazing November. If you're celebrating a holiday this month, I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you back here in December. Okay, bye-bye.